This is the third video for ECSC 220 London. Again, please pause the video when I step off screen, copy the items down into your notes, leave some spaces. So think of this as an outline, leave some spaces for my comments, and then press play and I'll talk through it. This video concerns insurance. So the specific risk financing technique called insurance. Insurance has two main features. The first one is insurance transfers risk from the individual who purchases the insurance to a group, and that would be the group of all individuals who purchase that insurance. Okay, so it's a transfer of risk from the individual to the group. And the second key feature is within that group, losses get shared on some equitable basis. And there's a lot of devils within the details within the words equitable basis. Okay, so losses are shared on some equitable basis with members of the group. An insurance company simply acts as the entity that organizes and administers the group. Okay. All right, so what are some bit more details? What are some basic characteristics of insurance? One, risk is getting transferred, right? That is the purpose. It is a transaction where I buy auto insurance. I transfer all my risks associated with auto insurance to Progressive Insurance Company in exchange for me paying them a premium, okay? All right, now, risk is never truly transferred. I might have insurance with Progressive and get into an accident, and lo and behold, the hour before I got into my auto accident, Progressive went bankrupt and has no money left to pay any claims. So I still have the possibility of owning my own risk. So risk is never 100% transferred, right? Well, by the way, if I purchase auto insurance, I'm not transferring all my risk to Progressive. Right, I still have a deductible, so I'm still retaining some initial amount of risk. So if I have $1,000 deductible and I get into an accident and it's $12,000 for damage, I pay $1,000. Progressive pays $11,000. Okay. All right. Second characteristic: indemnification. The purpose of insurance is if the individual suffers a loss, the insurance company will indemnify them for their loss. The insurance company will return that insuree who experienced the loss to their approximate financial state prior to the loss. Okay, so the financial risk is being transferred, and the expectation is I will be indemnified by the insurance company if I have a loss. All right, well, insurance company is only going to pay for fortuitous losses. Fortuitous is an unfortunate word, but basically just means losses that occur by chance, not by good fortune. Okay, but insurance companies are only going to cover covered losses, so losses that the insurance company stated they would cover, covered losses that occur by chance. They're not going to cover intentional losses. So a company like Progressive, they have a fraud department that looks to see, well, boy, that car that burnt out, was it a chance accident or was that arson? Did the car owner set their car on fire in order to collect the insurance? Right? So they don't want to cover intentional losses. This is to prevent moral hazard from taking over. If you knew your insurance company was going to cover any loss, no matter how it occurred, then if I'm short a little bit of cash, the temptation to torch some piece of property that I don't find super valuable anymore in order to the insurance money would be high, right? So you want to rule out moral hazard by not covering intentional losses. All right, number 4, pooling of losses. This is kind of one of the fundamental features. Insurance company gathers premium from everyone in the group, so all the auto insurance customers from Progressive, and these premiums are pooled together and they're used to pay out losses that the individuals within the group suffer. Okay, so we're pooling all our premiums to pay out individual losses. Obviously, the insurance company pulls out expenses from that pool of money, some profit from that pool of money, etc. But in general, that's the way it happens. Now, the reason insurance companies can do this efficiently is due to what's called the law of large numbers. So as the number of individuals in this insurance group increases, The actual losses experienced by the group in a year or in 6 months, whatever it is, will approach the expected losses of the group. So in the earlier video, I said that actuaries and insurance companies are only interested in covering losses whose chance of occurrence they can know or reasonably estimate. That's so that can feed into the law of large numbers. If you can approximate the chance of any individual of suffering loss, if you get enough of these individuals together, the actual losses experienced within that group will start to mimic the expected losses. So, for example, if there's a 5% chance every year that I am going to have an auto accident and you group 100 of me together, then you would expect there to be 5 auto accidents every year within that group of 100. But maybe it's 3, maybe it's 11, right? 100's not very large. If you group together 1 million people like me, 5% loss for each of us, and 1 million of us would mean we would expect there to be what? Oh, math is hard. 5,000 losses within this group of 1 million. Now, the actual losses experienced by the 1 million of us is going to range. It's not going to be exactly 5,000, but it's going to be pretty close to 5,000. It's probably only going to be, most likely, only going to be off by 100 on either side of 5,000. And that's pretty darn close to 5,000, and you can budget for that. So the more people you get in your pool, the more likely the actuary's estimate of how much loss is going to occur is going to be pretty much bang on. Okay, so law of large numbers, crucial. Okay, all right. So this idea of pooling, it does 2 separate things for us. For the individual, it means that if I'm purchasing auto insurance, I'm only having to pay the average loss of the members in my group, right? Instead of my actual loss. So if the total losses within the group are $10,000 and there's 100 of us, I pay 1/100th of the $10,000 approximately for my premium. That's $100. Okay, so I'm going to pay $100 the average loss instead of my actual loss. Right, my actual loss is going to be $0 most years, but it'll be $10,000 on some year or some years. So the individual is accepting that they're going to pay the average loss for the group versus the actual loss of their individual behavior. Okay. All right. So you replace your individual expectation with average expectation. The second thing that pooling does is it helps the insurance companies accurately predict the future losses of the group. This allows them to charge a sufficient premium to cover those expected losses. Okay. Now, insurance companies, they're interested in insuring only certain types of losses, or certain types of risks. So we've got this list of ideally insurable risk characteristics. Now, many of the risks that are insured don't satisfy all of these, okay? But this is the ideal. First off, the insurance company wants there to be a large number of exposure units. Basically, that means a large number of customers who are going to buy this insurance. So we can utilize the law of large numbers, okay? So large number of exposure units. We want the losses to be accidental and unintentional, right? We don't want to have to worry overly much about intentional losses and moral hazard. We'll still have to worry about this, but in general, we want this to be for losses that tend to be accidental and unintentional. The losses better be determinable in time and place, right? So when I sell you an insurance policy, it says it's going to cover any loss that occurs from January 1st to December 31st of this year. So if I, as the insurance company, can't even tell when that loss occurred, how do I know if it's my responsibility or the insurance company that you were with the previous year, right? So we've got to be able to determine when did the loss occur. In some cases, where did the loss occur? And we need to be able to measure exactly how much that loss is. Was it a $30 loss or was it a $52,000 loss? Okay, so we need to determine the loss amount in order to then indemnify you. Okay, the insurance company wants the chance of loss to be calculable, right? Otherwise, it's uncertainty, not a risk. If we can't estimate or calculate the chance of loss, the actuaries have nothing to go with, and we have no idea what a sufficient premium to charge is. And we're not going to engage in that kind of tomfoolery here. Okay. So if we got all 4 of these things, but it turns out the premium we should charge is ridiculously expensive, but no one's going to buy it. Well, why make a product no one's going to buy? The insurance company is not going to offer such an insurance policy. And then for the insurance company, losses should not be catastrophic. So catastrophic means so many losses that it could put the insurance company out of business. For example, if ABC Insurance only sells homeowners insurance in Florida, one hurricane could be catastrophic because suddenly 90% of our customers might give us a claim when the calculable loss was that we thought only 8% of our customers would give a claim in a given year. Okay. Now, this happens even to this day. Wildfires out in California, Paradise, I think it was called Paradise City, pretty much burned to the ground. That caused several California property insurance companies to go out of business. They simply had claims from too many of their clients within a given year, right? It was catastrophic. They hadn't diversified their client base to protect against such a catastrophic loss.